Hi, I'm Jason McKee, Director of Developer Evangelism for ServiceNow, and today we're going to talk about the SmartKegerator I built. So the SmartKegerator is to avoid P1 keg outages because you never want to run out of beer. So the original inspiration for this project was I have a friend who is a professional brewer, and she got a job at a brewery close to me and said, Jason, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I've never had a friend close enough with a kegerator that I could give free kegs of beer to. You need to build a kegerator. So, being threatened with free beer, of course I'm going to build a kegerator. Now the problem is, Rachel lives a bit away from me, so when I run out of beer, I can't just go down to her brewery and get a new keg. It takes a little bit of time and organization to do that, and I never want to run out of beer. So I'm using metric-based in ServiceNow to watch my rate of consumption and predict when I'm going to empty the keg with enough time that I can actually automate the process of emailing Rachel and saying, hey, I'm about to kill the Pink Boots IPA. What's your next seasonal beer that I should try, and when can we meet up? So let's take a look at how this works in ServiceNow. Okay, so we're in the instance here, and you can see we actually have a number of kegerators defined. We have my kegerator here at home. We actually have a kegerator in the Tokyo office, and this is the kegerator that we actually run out on the show floor. And we actually support both refrigerator-style kegerators as well as jockey boxes. So since we're not out on the show floor, and I do need to be somewhat coherent to record this, I can't actually drink enough beer to show off how this works. So we're going to actually use a sample dummy kegerator today. So everything in this is a configuration item. We're actually using a lot of inspiration from the IoT Bridge project or product from NowX. So we have kegerators. Kegerators have taps, they have kegs, and they have configuration information. So in the case of a jockey box, you want to know when it's getting too warm and you need to add more ice. So we have alarms set to go off when the temperature gets too high. Temperature's never going to get too low. At the same time, for the kegerator style, we use this to turn the kegerator control on and off, and we'll see a little bit more how that actually works in the controller box. As we dive in here, we can actually see the relationships between the electronics, like the monitor, the taps, which have flow meters, and the kegs, which have volume and temperatures associated with them. So this is the service portal page that my friend Brian Griffith put together that actually runs on a Raspberry Pi normally when it's on the show floor. And here you can actually see the consumption over time, our keg volume going down. Since I'm not actually drinking this much today, every time I had a call, I poured myself a virtual beer. So you can see I've had something of a busy day, and it got a lot busier in the afternoon. So these are all driven by queries to metric base. We can see the temperature rising over time because we are simulating a jockey box, which is a cooler full of ice. And based on the consumption, we see how long until the keg is empty. So when I'm running this at home, I have a 2-week reorder window to get more beer. When I'm running this on the show floor, I need to know in only 30 minutes when we're going to kill a keg and get a new one. And I'm using a lot of the metric-based linear prediction triggers to facilitate that. And let's take a look at my favorite flow, which is the one that makes sure we don't run out of beer. So this is our workhorse flow that makes sure that we never run out of beer. And we actually run this periodically on a timer because, well, you can set a prediction trigger in metric base, the amount of time is fixed. So because we have different reorder windows, I either had to write a different flow, subflow trigger combination to reorder, or I could just run it periodically and have it check and see. So we go through and we look at all of the kegerators that are actually running and have somebody to notify. And we look at all of the kegs in there. And when based on the consumption rate, and that goes back to our reorder windows that we configure per kegerator, and how long and how fast we're drinking beer, if it's going to go empty within the window, we'll actually flag the keg that it needs a reorder, and we will create an event and send an email. Now, if you're doing this in a more business scenario, you would probably have a REST API here. But my friend Rachel doesn't have a REST API, so I've had to fall back to using an email. So a kegerator is fun and it's great out on a show floor, but you might be asking, like, how does this actually apply to a real business use case? So when we originally built this, we were thinking, any kind of a scenario where you need to adaptively deal with like inventory and supplies. So say you're an IT department and you are ordering laptops on demand, and there's a certain window of time it takes to get a new batch of laptops. So when you get down to 5 laptops, you might need to kick off a reorder so you never run out of laptops. And that's reasonable and fun, but when we were running this on the show floor, I had a customer come up to me and say, you know what? I need this for my call center. Our reality is they never tell us when there's a buggy release or something's gone down. So we'll just randomly get flooded with calls and not know what's happening. So I want to be able to actually predict the call volume and tell if I need to schedule people for the next shift instead of reordering beer. And I love that use case. Because somebody came up with it and they saw my silly kegerator and were able to crosswalk it back to like a real problem that they had. So this is what the inside of a kegerator looks like, and it's a gas bottle with the kegs, and the only thing different is these little flow sensors that I've attached to tell how much beer is passing through, and the temperature gauges that are strapped to the side. So let's take a look at the guts of the controller for the kegerator here. We've got a Raspberry Pi, you can see the USB ports, and we've got the GPIO pins that are controlling the temperature sensors, the probes, the flow meters, as well as turning a relay on and off. So for the kegerator version, we're actually turning the chest freezer on and off. You can see the power mains that are coming in from the wall. That goes to a little power supply for the Raspberry Pi, as well as connecting through the relay over to a household outlet. So when the inside of the kegerator gets too warm, we turn it on and off with the relay, which then turns the chest freezer on and off and maintains at the temperature we're looking for. So the last bit of our under the hood with the kegerator here is the Node-RED flow that makes the kegerator control work. So when it starts up, it will actually reach out to the ServiceNow instance and it will pull down a configuration. And this is actually my real kegerator at home we're working on here. So we can see the high temperatures, the low temperatures, and we can see we just got some temperature readings coming in off of the kegerator probes, which are all the way down here. And we built this flow so it works on both a real kegerator, it works on a jockey box. We can make alarms go off based on the temperatures. And when you're pouring a beer, it sends pulses to the kegerator, and we basically count all those pulses. And when nothing has flowed for a bit, we'll actually go in and send a REST post to ServiceNow and saying, we have poured a certain amount of beer. And this looks like really complicated, but I love Node-RED, and if you're a ServiceNow person that wants to play with IoT, Node-RED's actually a great place to get started because it's largely code-free, and when you do need to write code, it's all JavaScript. And much like ServiceNow, you'll just have a couple lines of JavaScript to write. So yeah, it's a super fun and easy thing to do, and I encourage you all to play with it. So that was our smart kegerator, and it was a fun project. It's easy to build. We actually have a number of them that are popping up around the world. You saw the one in Tokyo, and it's easy enough that we're going to probably see more of these popping up at other ServiceNow events because it's pretty easy for a nerd to recreate. So thanks for hanging out with us, and enjoy the rest of CreatorCon, and cheers.